Honourable Member for Edmonton Meadowlark.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and it is an honour to rise today to respond to the speech from the throne. I would like to start by acknowledging that we stand here today on Treaty 6 territory, and my constituency is also on Treaty 6 territory. This government recognizes the importance of a strong relationship with our Indigenous communities, which is why we will repeal Bill 22 and find a better way to carry out consultations in the future. I feel it is quite fitting that the throne speech took place on International Women's Day, delivered by a female Lieutenant Governor on behalf of our female Premier. Look to our caucus and you see near gender parity. Look further to our ministerial bench, including the newly created Ministry for the Status of Women, and you will see the importance that we place in balanced representation. It is something this province can take great pride in. The diversity that Albertans see in the Legislature is a reflection of the diversity that makes up Alberta. There are more young MLAs than ever before in our province. This is something that I am reminded of daily as I spend time in my constituency visiting with residents. I don't think I've ever visited a constituent who wasn't curious about my age. What is interesting, though, is that when I reveal that I am only 24 and that there are actually MLAs younger than myself still, I am met with excitement. People are happy to see such diversity with new energy and new ideas in the Legislature. I hope, through the example that my young colleagues set, that there will be more young leaders willing to put their name forward. That is, in fact, one of the main reasons I got involved with politics from a young age. I realized that the youth voice was not at the table. Thankfully, we have seen the landscape changing at all levels of government. It is an important step because the decisions we make as legislators has lasting effects on the broader community, and these effects are felt differently based on a number of circumstances, including, but of course not limited, to age. When I think back to the career opportunities that I have had that led me to this point, I realize that they have all been in the Meadowlark community. First, working in retail at West Edmonton Mall, then in radio at K97, once again in West Edmonton Mall, and eventually as an electrician at 2 local businesses within the constituency. It is quite fitting to be able to come full circle and represent these same businesses that gave me the incredible opportunities that led me to this very legislature. I've lived in the Meadowlark community for the better half of my life, moving here from Saskatchewan around 2003. I attended Britannia Junior High in the constituency of Glenora, but completed my diploma at Jasper Place in the Meadowlark community. I have built lasting relationships both with the teachers and students that accompanied me on my journey through the public school system, and I think about how our legislation will affect them anytime we make decisions in this chamber. Through the many years that I have lived in the community, I've had the opportunity to meet with many leaders and organizations, including most, if not all, of the community leagues. These leagues are truly the grassroots of our communities. The volunteers spend countless hours organizing sports leagues and fundraisers to create the sense of community which we all cherish. It is an incredibly selfless and sometimes thankless job, but I know the community as a whole appreciates the work that these volunteers put into our neighborhoods. Meadowlark is an incredibly diverse community. There are families who have called the area their home long before West Edmonton Mall was a destination, and also new Canadians, including newly arrived Syrian refugees, who have come to this great province after years of struggle. Our job as representatives of our community is to ensure we are doing what we can to help these families, regardless of socio-economic circumstances, to realize their potential as members of our community. It is our duty to ensure the public services of which we are so proud of in this province are efficient and accessible to those who need them most. It is also imperative that we create an economic environment that encourages growth and creates opportunity for every citizen in this province. Some of the most rewarding opportunities we get as elected officials is to visit with the remarkable people who make up our communities. Since my election to this Assembly, I've had the chance to visit with many seniors in my community. They're often politically and socially active, and the residents have some of the most insightful questions, ranging from fracking to the Heritage Trust Fund and everything in between. The wealth of knowledge our seniors hold is invaluable, and the contributions they have made to our province are enormous. There are a lot of lessons in history that can so easily be lost if we don't learn from them. This has become clear to me when I've talked with the people in my community who have been through economic downturns before, who have seen what can happen when we don't diversify our economy. Madam Speaker, the throne speech outlines many of the key challenges and opportunities our province will have moving forward. Alberta has suffered from not diversifying our economy, and governments past have not been able to achieve the market access our province needs for the full value of our products, as well as a royalty system that did not have the full support of Albertans based on a perceived lack of transparency and accountability. I believe that the initiatives this government has undertaken, as presented in the throne speech, are important issues and will help move this province forward. I can tell you that my community has been hit hard by the fall in commodity prices. The industrial park in the Meadowlark community is one of the largest service providers to the oil and gas industry, and when this industry struggles, so do the many businesses and families in my community. And while West Edmonton Mall is still an incredible economic driver in the Meadowlark community and in this province, especially with a low dollar, we are still seeing a slowdown in local purchasing power. As I mentioned earlier, before getting elected to this assembly, I was an apprentice electrician, building and servicing sleeping quarters that are utilized by oil field workers while they are in camp. Many of the companies I worked for, as I said, are in my community, and I've seen these companies slow down because of the slump in global oil prices. It is not going to be an easy road forward, but I know that these businesses are run by passionate families and entrepreneurs constantly adapting to changes in the market and finding efficiencies. As we realize increased market access and plan for recovery, these companies will continue to thrive within our province, just like they have for so many years before. And for those who are looking to retrain, our government will support you because we recognize that a diversified workforce is a strong workforce. It is increasingly important as we move to diversification that we offer our communities the opportunity to grow with us through access to capital and measures introduced by the Economic Development and Trade Ministry, like the Job Creation and Diversification Act and the Petrochemicals Diversification Program. We will support the creation of new jobs in emerging markets. Counter-cyclical investments will keep this province moving. While we can't control the price of oil, we can put people back to work, and we will, by investing $34 billion in capital projects. We have seen the devastating effects of deferred maintenance in the past, and investing the money now means we can keep people working while reducing the laundry list of maintenance and construction costs that need to happen throughout this province. My community has been waiting on a Valley Line LRT for many years now, and I think we all recognize the importance of having effective modes of transportation within our cities and, of course, across this province. It is, in fact, the lowest income communities who need these services most, and we're doing a great disservice to them every time that we put these projects off. This is a difficult time, like I have said, for Alberta, brought on by circumstances that we cannot change, but it is also a great opportunity. We are a province of ambitious, determined, hardworking people who will forge ahead, even if it means treading new ground. We know what hasn't worked in the past, and we know what has to change now. We have taken steps toward a better future, and we will continue on that path to innovation, accountability, and responsibility to Albertans. As Albertans, we are proud of our natural resources that have built this province and created many good-paying jobs. Yet past practice has been to import almost 1 million barrels of oil per day from other countries. This has been a point of confusion and frustration for Albertans for many years, and I believe it is important that we transition to a Made in Alberta approach. This will not only benefit our economy, but we as Albertans also recognize that our product is produced in one of the most environmentally sound jurisdictions around the world, and it is something that we can all be very proud of. As a member of the West Edmonton Business Association, I've had the opportunity to meet with many of the businesses in the Meadowlark community. They are an incredibly resilient group of people who collaborate to support the local economy and not-for-profits. The association consists of everything from small IT companies to the Fantasyland Hotel in West Edmonton Mall, the perfect example of how we can work together for the betterment of our community. Edmonton Meadowlark is also home to the Misericordia Hospital, a hospital that people across this province depend on, and a place that employs many families in my constituency. I will add that I have both gained and lost family members at this hospital, but the staff have always been accommodating and professional through their work environment, though their work environment is often high stress and the staff increasingly overworked. We know that cutting funding to essential public services only worsens these problems, increases costs in the long run, and downloads responsibility to our communities. I would also like to acknowledge the incredible amount of not-for-profit organizations in the community that have growing clientele while facing budget restrictions. Portions of many not-for-profit agencies' budgets come directly or indirectly from government, and many of these important service providers are working at capacity. To reduce funding or to add to the growing number of services users through downloading would put additional strain on our communities and add to the daily struggle of many families. We need to support our communities, now more than ever. I recognize the reality that so many of the constituents of Edmonton Meadowlark are facing, and I will do everything that I can to support them through these tough times every step of the way. Every child in this province deserves a bright future, and those futures will be realized because of the investments we make into education. In a time of much talk of austerity measures, our government committed to supporting this province's frontline workers, including restored funding to education, which resulted in the hiring of 740 new teachers across this province. That means we're able to offer more programs to the families and students, as well as hopefully reducing class sizes, which is so important. Though there are many initiatives within the throne speech that I am proud to support, among the most important to my community is our government's move to protect Albertans from high-interest loans. There are many lenders within the Meadowlark area, something the local associations have been trying to deal with for several years. This overaccumulation of lenders in our low-income communities has created a troubling situation, which I have seen firsthand. This commitment to protect Alberta families is especially important now, as many families are juggling their daily expenses and often consider these high-interest loans that can put them in unfavorable situations. And for those Albertans struggling to find work in these tough times, our government has committed to working with the federal government to reconsider employment insurance rules, as the program has often been hard to access, and I have had these struggles myself in the past. This throne speech, I believe, reflects the needs and expectations of my community. The fall in commodity prices has affected my community, my friends, my family, but we must work together to create new streams of revenue while finding efficiencies within our government departments. We must not, however, make broad cuts or expect our already stretched public services to somehow make do with less. I am proud to stand here today with an alternative way forward, and while this year has been tough on our province, I am still proud to stand here as an Albertan, and I know that Alberta is still the best place to invest your money. In closing, having the honor to represent the constituents of Edmonton Meadowlark here in the Assembly is no doubt one of the greatest accomplishments of my life, and I'm sure many of the other members within this chamber would say the same thing about their own journey. I do not think any of us take this responsibility lightly. To the citizens of Meadowlark who put their trust in me to represent them, and to my friends and family who helped me along this journey both before and during the election, I owe you everything. Thank you to my parents for letting me use their home as a campaign office and a hotel during the election. Thank you to my partner of 8 years for believing in me from the very beginning, and to my little sister for being the light of my life. It is also important that I mention Raj Sherman and the incredible work that he did both while in government and opposition representing the Meadowlark community. Your ability to advocate on behalf of your constituents is something I hear of often in my community, and it inspires me to be a better representative every day. Thank you.